The sun has gone down at Hangman's Hill, and the ghost at Misery Corner isn't walking tonight. So, welcome to the Weird Tales radio show, your weekly fix of ghost stories, urban myths, magic, and folklore. And now, here's your host, writer, award-winning journalist, best-selling author, and sometime werewolf hunter, Charles Christian.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Charles Christian and with me is Janie. This is episode 40, the 1st of November edition of the Weird Tales radio show podcast. Available on iTunes, Spotify and all the usual podcast platforms. We've had a couple of stories in recent weeks about alcohol and drinking, and to keep up the trend, here's Janie talking about the British royal family and their drinking habits.
Yes, well, not that there's anything wrong. Let's just get that straight for the start. But this is just little tidbits of information that people may need to know. Will be interesting. Anyway, yeah. So Kate Middleton, who is, of course, the Duchess of Cambridge, apparently her favourite drink is to sip Jack Daniels. But it's a bit of a close call between that and a cocktail called Crack Baby. Yep. Which is apparently a mix of passion fruit juice, vodka, and champagne that the couple apparently regularly drink at the nightclub Boogie's. I've never noticed.
Used to drink there.
They used to drink there, of course.
When they were dating.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Prince Philip is apparently an avid beer lover, with Boddington's being his favourite. He loves beer so much that he's even said to have muttered, "Get me a beer," when, in the way that he would, when he was offered fine wines by the former Prime Minister Giuliano Amato at a dinner in Rome. This is allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Get me a goblet of gear.
Yeah. The late Queen Elizabeth, the lovely Queen Mother, drank this drink of 3 parts Dubonnet, 7 parts gin, and a splash of lemon every day.
Not really worth the lemon with that quantity, is it?
I know. My God, just the Dubonnet, let alone with the gin. It was obviously not quite strong enough, having the fortified wine. The Queen, she developed a love for the drink too, enjoying a gin and Dubonnet before lunch and even before bed sometimes.
And before dinner. Yeah. Before breakfast.
Well, you would when you've got a hard life like that.
You would indeed, I mean, yeah. It's a true story here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine was a hospital administrator, and they were having a new hospital opened by Princess Margaret, the late Princess Margaret, and they were given specific instructions for her drinking, and it was to leave strategically placed clear glass tumblers, like the sort you'd serve water, with gin in it, around the room at various places. So it just looked like she was sipping a tumbler of water, but wherever you went, there was a little glass of gin.
Yeah, again, she probably needed it to battle through the day.
Yes. What shall I do today? Which crown shall I wear?
Yeah. It does go back. We have more info.
Okay.
King Edward the 6th. No, the 7th.
The 7th.
Yes. Was there a 6th?
Yes, of course there was. They wouldn't have jumped from 5th to 6th.
No, they wouldn't. I don't know.
The Edward VI was sometime in the Middle Ages.
Ah, right. That's why I don't remember.
Yeah.
History, never my strong point. Anyway, Berry Brothers and Rudd's King's Ginger, which you may or may not know, that's a mixture of ginger, honey, and a base of brandy. It was made specifically for the king after his doctor visited the British company and asked for a liquor to help cure the king of health problems. Oh, my gosh. They kept producing it for the royal family for years until finally opening it up for customers. I mean, that's the sort of doctor you want. Queen Victoria. Many found the Queen's mix of claret and single malt whiskey disgusting, I read. But it was
It would be fairly disgusting, actually.
Yeah, again, it's like, yeah, how desperate do you need to be to mix those, or what an incredible ability to tolerate alcohol you have.
She was only a little woman as well.
Oh, she was, yeah.
Tiny, tiny.
She also enjoyed beer with her servants, averaging 8 pints of beer every day. She said it was her servants, but of course,
Yeah.
we may know better. Oh, I also found when I was rooting around this, a California company sells luxury ice cubes for $325 per order of 50 ice cubes. I'm assuming they're ice cube sized to go in a glass. Yeah? That's $6.50 per ice cube. The company's called Glacé Luxury Ice, and it says its ice is of a higher quality than regular ice, which is made of local tap water and may contain impurities and carcinogens, resulting in poor tasting and potentially unhealthy ice. According to the company's website, and glacé ice, on the other hand, is purified and protected in a resealable package, which ensures its purity, according to the company.
Mm-hmm.
They also sell, as if that wasn't enough luxury, they sell 2 different types of ice cubes. G-cubed, which is cube-shaped, with each piece individually carved.
Oh, yeah.
And...
That would look good in your CV.
Yeah.
What have you been doing? Well, I've been carving ice cubes.
And the Morrico sphere. And the sphere is apparently the most efficient shape in nature and the most mathematically efficient way to cool your drink. Before this is according to the company's website. Now I sat there wasted a good 20 minutes trying to think of another genius idea that nobody's thought of to luxuriarize, if that's such a word, something ridiculous that, is just water or air or soil or something. And I couldn't think of anything. So I think their genius is in coming up with something to make luxurious that really doesn't need to be.
Yes, frozen water.
Yeah. Because there was that craze, wasn't there? It was a joke, I know, but for pure air in cans. Yes.
Yes.
So that's been done, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Something wicked this way comes. Weird Harvest Press presents Harvest Hymns, the sweet fruits and twisted roots of folk horror. A 2-volume set of books investigating the music of folk horror, featuring contributions from some of the biggest names in the field. Candia McCormack, Johnny Trunk, Maddie Pryor, Sharon Krause, Jim Jupp and Kemper Norton, to name just a few. Available now via lulu.com. 100% of all Weird Harvest Press profits are donated to wildlife charities.
Welcome, fool. You have come of your own free will to the appointed place. It is time to keep your appointment with the Wicker Man. The Wicker Man.
Those of you who live in London need no reminding that their capital contains 3, not 1, but 3 very good esoteric bookshops. Watkins Books in Cecil Court, the Atlantis Bookshop on Museum Street, and Treadwell's on Store Street. All 3 put on a regular programme of events, talks, activities. However, here's one that caught my eye. It's Sunday the 11th of November and Sunday the 2nd of December. And it's a British Museum guided tour with a focus on the awakening of English magic. Since the 1880s, the British Museum has been a focal point for British occultism. Magicians used to meet in the reading room, they studied esoteric texts, they also looked at the pagan deities in the galleries. This tour will take you through the exhibits across the millennia, and your guide will regale you with tales of the Order of the Golden Dawn, Dion Fortune, John Dee and Alistair Crowley. The guide is Caroline Wise, whose speciality is the mythic London landscape, and she's a consummate raconteur with many adventures of her own to share as well. There's a maximum of 15 people available, spaces available on each tour. Price is £18. You meet at 10:50 a.m. prompt for an 11 a.m. start, and it will run for approximately 3 hours. Use the Montague Place North entrance to the museum precinct, and rendezvous on the street just in front of the security tent. This event is being put on by Treadwell's, and you can book online, probably the simplest way. https://www.treadwells, that's TREADWELLS, treadwells-london.com/events. That will take you to it. Sounds very interesting. And again, those dates, 11th of November and 2nd of December.
You are listening to the Weird Tales Radio Show with Charles Christian on internet radio and podcast.
Of necessity, most of our stories about witchcraft and black magic and casting spells are historical in nature, and we dig back into the medieval past to draw upon them. However, we're going up to date now with a topical news story, and it's the fact that very recently, Saturday the 20th of October, a group of witches based around the Brooklyn Witchcraft store of Catlin Books decided to aim a hex at the recently appointed Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, a very controversial character in following his confirmation proceedings. The way they conducted it was scheduled to be live streamed on Facebook and Instagram. And apparently 1,500 people applied to Catlin Books to attend the event. And not surprisingly, it's produced a lot of antagonism from the religious right in America, who oppose the use of magic in such a way and really believe that it's the work of the devil. Now, nothing particularly new about this, because it was the same people who a couple of years ago tried a similar mass binding spell against the newly appointed 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Again, it was organised on social media and performed by witches in the US and around the world. This seems to be, a feature of the modern world and modern social media, but actually its history goes back a lot longer, and goes back to 1940, when Britain was at war with Nazi Germany. This was before the Americans joined the war with us, and there was a very real threat of an invasion by the Germans from France. And there is a story that on Lammas Eve, that's August the 1st, 1940, a group of witches met in the New Forest in England and cast a spell on Hitler to keep the German military from invading Britain. The rituals performed that night has become known as the Operation Cone of Power. The main source of information for all this is Gerald Gardner, who wrote, and indeed is generally regarded as the founder of modern Wicca in the UK. He wrote about it in his book Witchcraft Today, and various biographies about him have also referred to it. And what it says is, on this particular night, in a forest clearing surrounded by pines, they marked out a witch's circle, the stage for their magical efforts. In place of a traditional bonfire, perhaps for fear of being spotted by enemy aircraft or local air defence wardens, a flashlight or shuttered lantern was placed to the east of the witch's circle in the direction of Berlin as a focus for their magical assaults. Naked, or skyclad as Wiccans like to put it, they began to dance in a spiralling pattern around the circle, building up to the communal ecstatic state that they believed can control magical forces. That's a quote from Philip Heselton in a book he wrote about Gardner called Witchfather. Gardner himself went on to say, "Witches did cast spells to stop Hitler landing after France fell. They met, raised the great cone of power, and directed the thought at Hitler's brain. You cannot cross the sea, you cannot cross the sea. Not able to come, not able to come." Gardner goes on to say that similar practices were done by their great-grandfathers to prevent Napoleon Bonaparte invading England in the early 19th centuries, and that their even remoter forefathers had done the same to prevent the Spanish Armada landing in the 16th century. Go on, not able to land, not able to land. Gardner goes on to say, I'm not saying we stopped Hitler. All I say is I saw a very interesting ceremony performed with the intention of putting a certain idea into his mind, and this was repeated several times afterwards. And although all the invasion barges were ready, the fact is Hitler never tried to invade. So there you have it. In later accounts, Gardner said the ritual involved such frenzied dancing and chanting that many of the people involved had ill effects, and a couple of them died from exhaustion over the course of the next few days. Gardner and his fellow magic makers never revealed the location of the ritual, but a number of suggestions have been made. One is the Rufus Stone in the New Forest, which was where King William II, or William Rufus, was fatally wounded by an arrow in the year 1100 AD, and there is a long-running rumour, suspicion that William Rufus was actually a pagan and that he may have been sacrificed in some very late pagan ritual. You know, the Wicker Man killing the king and so on to ensure the land is fertile for the future. And the alternative is that it may have been somewhere near a large oak tree called the Naked Man, which was where highwaymen used to be hanged and gibbeted back in the 18th century. And there you have it. Basically, a bunch of elderly pensioners scampering around in the nude stopped Hitler invading. It, of course, leaves obviously open to the obvious critical comment that all these stories only emerged after Hitler had been defeated, and no doubt we'll be hearing after Donald Trump ceases to be president, which is midterm now, and it's only going to be 2 years if he doesn't stand for re-election, that it was the witchcraft spells that brought the end to his presidency.
If you want to grow your business, save time using the latest tech, and look great online, we at Appeal Digital can help. We have a free, yes, that's free download listing 40 digital tools, apps and resources to help you grow your brand, promote your project, generate leads, and reach your audience. Just go to www.appeal.digital/weirdtales for smart, effective digital design, and your free download. Go to www.appeal.digital/weirdtales.
And now here's Janie, who's been looking at the autumn phenomenon of angel hair.
Yes, and why? Because we were walking across the fields with the dogs, ploughed fields, getting towards sunset, and all you could see for hundreds and hundreds of yards, I mean acres and acres and acres, were what looked like cobwebs.
Yes.
But were they?
No.
I had to find out.
Yes.
Yes, there's a thing called angel hair. And it's a sort of sticky, stringy substance that has been reported in connection with UFO sightings.
Ooh.
Or manifestations of the Virgin Mary.
Ooh.
And it must be the same thing. It's described as being like a cobweb or a jelly. I wouldn't have said jelly, but anyway. It's called angel hair because obviously it's similar to fine hair. Mm-hmm. It's also called spider's webs. In some cases, it's been found to be the web of migrating spiders, which is what I tended to think it was, to be fair. But reports of angel hair say that it disintegrates or evaporates within the short time of forming, which, spiders' webs don't really. It's also an important aspect of the UFO religion, realism. Mm-hmm. One theory among ufologists is that it's created from ionized hair sleeting off an electromagnetic field that surrounds a UFO. Well, the field bit's right, isn't it?
Yes, the field's right, yes.
Okay. Sightings all around the world, apparently, from way back, reported during 1561, a celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. Also, the miracle of Fatima on the 13th of September and in October, which is about the time we saw it, 1917. Apparently the most widely reported incident occurred in France in 1952. That's when I was born. When great flakes were reported as falling from a nearly cloudless sky. I can't read my notes, sorry. Yes, carry on.
I was going to say, apparently it's thought to be mainly a little money spider that does a thing called ballooning, where they move from one area to the other by shooting a fine web out of their web orifice, and it catches the wind and carries them.
Oh, I see. Well, there must have been millions of them then, because this was acres and acres and acres of land.
I have a statistic here from a man who clearly had nothing better to do with his life, called William Bristow, who counted the number of spiders in fields in Bexhill in Sussex. And he found that there were, on average, 2 million spiders to the acre.
Oh, that was what I reckoned.
Yeah.
It has to be. It has to be, because it's just incredible phenomenon to see it. Yes, so published explanations, are sort of more scientific explanations, that does tend to think it's spiders who migrate through the air in large numbers on cobweb gliders.
Yeah.
And many cases of angel hair are found to be these spider threads, and they've even found spiders on the material, so the link is fairly close.
Yes.
If anybody's interested, it's Linefidae spiders that they think cause these showers of gossamer threads in England and the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes. That's the posh name for money spiders.
Ah, right. Oh, you know everything, don't you? Australia and New Zealand, they have a lot of cases caused by their native spiders of a similar type of species.
Yep.
And then in Portuguese city of Evora in 1959, they had a mass event with the spider angel hair, and they had a look under the microscope, and Yeah, found it was a little insect.
Yeah.
There's other more interesting ideas. Atmospheric electricity may cause floating dust particles to become polarised, and attraction between these polarised dust particles may cause them to join together to form long filaments. I'm not convinced. There was another idea that it might be a sort of vegetable-based product, not animal. Again, I'm not really sure. I think I'm going with the spiders.
Yep.
I just had a little bit here,
Yep.
just to add to the interest. Explanations based on the UFO idea. Ionised air may be sleeting off the electromagnetic field that surrounds a UFO. Excess energy is converted into matter. The usage of UFOs and the G field would cause many heavy atoms in ordinary air to react amongst themselves and produce a kind of precipitate that falls to the ground and disappears as the ionisation decreases. Okay.
In 1940, a particularly warm and settled early autumn, gossamer was seen drifting across the downs of southern England, and it was suspected to be a device of the enemy. A golfer claimed that his wrists had been blistered by the stuff, and rumours reached the government that a new and mysterious form of chemical warfare was being tested. And in Hampshire, the Home Guard was called out to inspect a field of angel hair. Fortunately, one of them had read a article, I think you've got a note of it there, Gilbert White and his Natural History of Cell Bone, which goes back to 1741, and he said, no, it's spiders.
Yes.
And another little factoid here. Since the gossamer usually occurs in the autumn, this used to be the time of the goose fairs. And it was held, it must be the down from fine feathered birds. And that it actually is a combination. So gossamer is a combination of goose and summer.
Wow, that's an interesting little tidbit.
Yes.
Not that I ever worried or thought about where the word gossamer came from, but there we are.
No.
It's all information we need to know.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say about angel hair.
Well, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
My work is done.
Goodbye then.
Goodbye.
Till the next time.
Goodbye.
That's it. We're almost out of time, so Janie and I look forward to joining you again next week. But until then, the nights are growing darker. They're darker now than sin. So may your gods and goddesses protect you from ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties and things that go bump in the night. Good night.
Black Shuck, the demon dog of East Anglia, is baying at the moon, which means it's time for us to go. You've been listening to the Weird Tales radio show with Charles Christian, your weekly fix of ghost stories, urban myths, magic, and folklore. Keep in touch with us online at www.urbanfantasist.com or by email at urbanfantasist.icloud.com or on Twitter at Christian Uncut. Good night. Join us again next week for another edition of the Weird Tales radio show.